Good morning, everybody. It is a hot one. 7 inches from the midday sun. Yeah, it's a hot one. Happy Veterans Day to everybody. Actually, no, it's not Veterans Day, it's Memorial Day. Um, you can hear Al in the background. He's going off big time. And that's you may not agree with what he says, but again, when you are in the real world, you hear the opinions of other people. And you have to deal with them. You can either engage them in conversation or you can leave them be. You can't let what everybody says get under your skin. So, as you can see, I'm working on Tetsuo from Akira. This will be up for available for auction when I do the next uh, Red Valkyrie auction, which will be in July. In fact, I'm going to turn this upside down, or at least on its side here, so I can do this area here. Today I want to talk to you guys about Shane Davis and Yanzi Lin's Inglorious Rex 2. Before I do, though, Graham Nolan has launched out a new campaign for Joe Frankenstein. It's the next book in his series of the Nolan verse, from Compass Comics. This story, he and Chuck Dixon have written it, and he has someone else doing the artwork. And the person who did the artwork, if you got the reprints when he crowdfunded parts 1 and 2 of Joe Frankenstein, that is he did 2 of the covers for book 1 and book 2. I got them instead of the Graham Nolan covers. He is doing the art interiors. Graham feels very highly about his artistic skills and had him on his stream yesterday when he was doing his launch. So you'll want to check that out. I will include Graham's campaign in the description so you can actually get that. You can actually check out the campaign. But back to the topic at hand, and that is Shane Davis and Yanzi Lin's Inglorious Rex 2. I got the supplemental and I got the main book. I was very pleased with the supplemental. The artwork was done by an Antonio Masteria. Very, very good artwork. The line work was so good. Almost as soon as I started seeing the pages as I was reading it, I was like, wow, this guy, if he is, it looks so close to Jerry Ordway and how Jerry Ordway does his pencils and inks, that I was like, oh wow, this is really good. So anything this guy does in the future, I hope I can, I hope I have the opportunity to get it because his artwork is so good. Shane Davis did a great job with deciding that he would be the one to do the pages for the supplemental book. And the supplemental book, the story that he did was about, I guess you could say it was like like the alien space marines. They are sent outside of the city to procure a vile egg. Right off the bat, also when I was reading it and all, my first thought was aliens. My very second thought was it reminded me of Mark McKenna's Combat Jacks. He did one where basically the aliens were pumpkins, and he did he did the book as a as an old '50s B movie, kind of like the remember the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. That's what it kind of reminded me of. But no, how he did the armor and just how the Marines were acting, it reminded me of Combat Jacks from Mark McKenna. So I will look it up, see if Mark McKenna's got a website for it. If so, I'll include that in the link also. So, okay, so let's see here. Um, how I'm doing this, and I was doing it last weekend, was I drew lines. See how I got these lines in here? Okay, that's whereas if I was laying down Zipatone, where it would be. So I went darker here, so that way I can have this tone from here all the way down to the bottom. And then what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to put a little bit of darkness here, so that way this edge of the tunic will stand out away from the tone that's going to be here, which is going to be almost identical to the way it is right now. So that's one of the reasons why when I do this many times, I'll do it in layers. So I'll do a pass, so it's like that level, do another pass, and then do another pass. Because I know now that I see I'm going to have to go darker, just go straight in to put in darker. So there we go. So we got that. So now I'm going to go up here, and we're going to start putting in the dots. And we're going to put in the dots very lightly. Try to keep them spaced apart a little bit more than normal. So that way the whole thing reads as a Zipatone screen. So it takes a while, but I like the results, and that's why I do it. So I might also, what I'll do is go even lighter along this edge. So where here's here, I'll just go even lighter and even more spread apart, so that way you even get more of a blending of the dots. So, but so yeah, so and again, going back to the story, I found that the first initial story, and this is the one that has been showing up on all the Twitters with people going, "It's a plot hole." I didn't really see as much of a plot hole, or if you would, it's one of those like you got to make. Remember, you got to have sacrifices when you're doing your story. How do you do this story so the mission's been accomplished, but no one survives? And he did it where they had a safe house. The character who has the egg, they die getting the egg into the safe house like a bunker, leaving the sole Marine, who is a woman, there with the egg. And she's notified, hey, we can't get you out, but we need that egg. We'll make sure that your kid is well taken care of. And she's like, okay, okay, I'll do what I'll sacrifice myself. Uh, take care of my daughter. My name is this, and you make it obvious that like Lil T, he doesn't give a flying fuck who she is. He just cares about the egg. And so the little drone comes, picks up the egg, and just as the drone flies off, the vial come up and attack and kill her. And then the second part of the supplemental is about Anatomica. It starts with her as just regular in the ring, a ring fighter, proving herself, and little T likes what he sees, and he decides, okay, you're good enough now. I'm gonna give you your own Rex. And so she is introduced to her Rex, and it's a little baby. It's a little baby Rex, and it looks like a cute little chick, a cute little chicken chick. And then it goes into the story about. Remember how Shane's always talking about how these Rexes you can't just put anybody in; they have to be paired up with someone, and that there's a neuro link that's established between the fighter and the Rex, and how they have to have there has to be like a symbiotic relationship. And with that story, he explains it, which then goes into the main story as to the issue that Alex has, in that it's not his Rex. He doesn't have that neuro link with the Rex. So he's fighting his Rex, even though his Rex is winning. He's fighting with his Rex, and the Rex won't listen to him. And he all but has to pretty much give up and let the Rex take over, and the Rex is fighting on its own. Remember how Shane talks about how 232 is not leveling up, and I disagree with him. I think that the Rex is leveling up. I think that the Rex 232 is evolving, not in the sense with uh, new kinetic abilities or growing an extra set of arms or extra muscles. I think internally, mentally, the Rex is evolving and it's becoming sentient. That's my opinion. Now, he doesn't go actually into it. There's kind of, you could say, slight Easter eggs, or it's a foretelling from how he told the story that might be the case. This is my water cooler talk on how I feel how it went. Uh, and then, of course, we have where they go outside of the city because the vial. And what it is that whole thing with the egg here, the egg is sent back to Arc City, and one of the vials chasing it, and it starts to get into the city. So the Rexes have to be sent outside of the city to fight the vial and kind of lure the vial away from the city itself. Which I like that idea a lot. How you've got Rexes and how the whole purpose while you have Rexes fighting each other is to level them up so that they have the weapons they need to succeed in fighting against the vial. The one thing I didn't care for in this was the way it's done is Lil T has the attitude of even when you're outside the city, you still got to fight each other. I disagree with that. I think where it's like it really comes down to where when you're outside the city, the enemy is the vial, and that's who you should be. That's where the focus of the fighting needs to be. I didn't care for the whole 232 and Razor need to continue to fight each other outside of the city. I just don't care for that at all. And but again, we see where 232 is evolving and it's thinking for itself, and it takes actions that a regular Rex fighter wouldn't think to do. It's like thinking on its own and going, well, if I do this, I'll have greater damage to the vial than if I were to do my rider wants me to do this. So again, I thought the first another thing also is there was a lot more like fighting and okay, if anybody saw my videos doing the art contest for Shane Davis and Inglorious Rect 1, where I had 232 and Razor fighting the vial, and I just had a horde of vials surrounding them. And a lot of people did that. A lot of people were drawing Rex outside of the city, ripping Vial apart. And there's it's a splash page Shane does, and it looks exactly the same as what I and so many others did. I would really be curious if Shane had planned that all along and we were just feeding off of what he wanted to do, or whether he took influence and be like, wow, this wasn't really executed well, but I like the idea of how they did it. Because like I said, it wasn't just me. A lot of people did that type of drawing of having the Rexes fighting the vial, even though we only had one image of what the vial looked like. Another thing also I really liked was we got to see multiple versions of the vial, just like in the movie Aliens. There was multiple versions of aliens based on. There was how remember when after the movie came out, like years after the movie came out, they did this whole line of uh, uh, shit. they got a whole series uh, of action figures based on all the different kind of aliens. And again, Shane did that. Uh, you got the itty bitty vial, you got the big mega vial, you got the big bruiser vial, you got vial that that uh, fly, and then we get introduced to another vial, a different vial altogether. And when you see that, you're like, whoa, oh shit. And I'm reading this and I'm like, oh my gosh. And it was just like it was all set up, just like I was hoping that we then see all these other Rexes uh, being called up, going, okay, get in your Rexes. We're going to shoot you outside the city too. We need you. And then we've got the final panel reveal. And I see this page. I'm like, oh, wow, this is going to be so cool. And then I flip the page, and it's the end of the book. And now he's showing you all the different covers that he had for the campaign, the contest winner, the runner up. And I just was like, you motherfucker! God damn it! Those are my exact words. I mean, it was one of those deals where it's like, I mean, I all but clenched my hand around the pages of the book when I read it, when I realized that was like, what? That's how you're ending it. The cliffhanger he gave, it was just like, was awesome. It was just, And like I said, I mean, like, when you read a book and it gives you a cliffhanger, and you're not expecting the cliffhanger, because like I said, because he had about an additional like 8 to 10 pages, you thought that there was more going. You thought that there was more to the story, but no, that was part of the cliffhanger. Was the fact that that was the final page, but yet because your right hand is holding the book, and you can feel that there's more pages of the book. You're like, what? That? Oh, you got, you motherfucker! You left me. You teased me with that. Such a. I'm sorry, I keep hitting the stand. Like, such a smart thing to do. So I really applaud both Shane and Yanzi for including all those pages in the back of the book and making you think that there was more to the story, but there wasn't. Genius move. Like I said, when I saw that, and I was just like, oh. But again, I got done, and I was like, oh. And so I immediately went back and reread the story, took a closer look at the artwork. Now here comes, and overall, I just was completely satisfied with the book, and it's it's just, and again, you look at it like for future installments, it's one of those where it's like he could do a full book on its own about about these space marines, and maybe about how they came about and the history behind them, and maybe that was in the beginning that was the front line of defense, and they just couldn't handle the vial, which is what led to the Rexes. He could do a full supplemental book that's 48 pages, not outside of the main story, and he could do that. And he could, if he wants to do it himself, if he just wants to write it and have, again, have Antonio do the artwork for it. I mean, just he's 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 keeping the core story there, but he's giving you just enough that you can see where you can go further with the story and this world that he's created with the Rexes. And I was very satisfied with it. Another thing also is, we all know how he's got his, Shane has his alter ego, Mange Davis, and how Mange likes to go, shit, ain't nothing, shit. Okay, um, when you read the dialogue of Little T, you can hear you can hear Mange. You can hear Mange reading this dialogue, and that I can see where, because you gotta keep in mind, it was between Inglorious Rex 1 and 2 that Mange Davis really came about. So if anything, you can see where uh, I would all but say that Mange Davis came about from his working on the dialogue and the backstory of Little T, just by how Little T talks. He does like to do the shit, but he also does words like uh, that is what would, where he includes that instead of that he put, so he a lot of times replace the th with d's. And I wouldn't be surprised if he changed the dialogue a couple times to get more of that duh instead of into the store into Little T's dialogue, because but it works. It works because even though we have very little knowledge of who Little T is, uh, we have the overall story, and from his dialogue, we get a sense of who Little T is just from his dialogue. So the the dialogue all but becomes, you could say, the backstory to Little T. Um, okay, now here I'm gonna, this part here, okay, this side, it is going to be covered in dots, but they're going to be very fine dots, very small. So I'm going to start it, but I'm going to be very slow. Okay, so, but again, I found that uh, doing that dialogue with Little T was really good. Like I said, it really helped create the Little T character. So I was really impressed with it. Uh, Now we'll get into, you could say, the criticism of it. Okay, the criticism I have is very minimal, and you could say it's cosmetic. Okay, uh, my one, my main criticism, which I did want to see, and part of it is because this is a post-apocalyptic world, or in the middle of an apocalyptic world. Okay, and we get to see how outside the city, it's nothing but ruin. The cities are falling up. The cities and skyscrapers are falling apart. There's nothing out but ruin. There's not even cars. There's not even abandoned vehicles or anything. It's just there's nothing. And he said that really in Ark City, things are really everybody. He gave the impression that this is the last, humanity's last stand, and that uh, people are all but like living in impoverished conditions and in ruins. And I never got that sense. Yeah, there's scenes where you see these people fighting in an alley and the buildings are old around them with the skyscrapers behind them. But you'd see that in any city. We could see that in, even like even in a bumfuck nowhere town like Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, you could see dilapidated old buildings from the turn of the 19th century with skyscrapers and condominium apartments in the background. Um, so we have that. And so again, I didn't get that sense that people are living on their last legs, and there's really nothing. And then even when he shows the inside of his dad's gym, again, it just looks like an old, dilapidated gym. I don't get that sense of humanity's last stand. Um, I I would have liked to have seen more. And now he did some shots of like the of Ark City with the skyscrapers and everything. Part of me though was like one of those where it's like you've already shown those shots in the first book. That I didn't need to see so many skyline shots in the second one, I would have rather have seen more of uh, mankind's fight just to survive, so you can get into the whole what is humanity doing to deserve to survive. Um, is it one of those deals where it's like, uh, obviously, with because of a Rex fighting book, it's like only the strong survive. But does that mean that in the slums, are they fighting each other just to survive, or what? I mean, I know I may not be properly expressing this, but that's just how I felt. Whereas I really wanted that sense of mankind's on its last legs. The perfect example I give you is the Terminator movie, the original Terminator movie. Remember how Reese, Michael Biehn, when he goes down into the tunnels and he's just walking along the tunnels, and there's like underground junction tubes, and you see he walks by these kids, and they're dirty and they're wearing rags, and it looks like they're watching TV, but then he does a reverse shot, and here the old tube TV is being essentially being used as a fireplace. Um, I would say I need to see that to really believe that mankind is on their last legs, and that mankind is on the verge of extinction. Um, I think about that. I think of maybe like how Max Headroom, how they did the slums and the of the city. So you got that sense where it's like viewing TV was the most important thing because everybody's life was absolutely completely impoverished, and they're just trying to survive. Maybe that's what Shane and Yanzi need to do with the next supplemental to Inglorious Rex 3, is do something like that to really give you that short, some type of short story. That way we get that sense that mankind is truly on the verge of extinction. I just, I'm just not getting that. And like I said, to me, you can easily say that's a cosmetic thing. Um, but that's just, it's just, I wanted to get that sense, so that way you really get the sense of why the Rexes and the Rexes fighting is so important to society, and why it's so important to uh, to become a fighter. And while everybody is, while they're trying to survive, they're all necessarily not fighting each other for food and resources, but fighting to prove their self-worth in this world, and that they're that if and here's the idea, okay. Think about the Matrix, okay. Remember how Matrix had, they had the underground city at the core of the earth, and how when the robots attack them, how everybody is fighting, everybody's prepared to fight, and everybody's pretty much trained their entire life to fight to survive. And again, remember how that final battle, and how you had these people that were completely, how they were petrified and scared, but yet it's one of those words like, I'm going to die, but yet some people I know do have the opportunity to live, so I got to make sure I'm getting this gun loaded up properly. Um, something like, I don't know, something to give of that sense of we don't have a choice. We have to be this way in order to keep human beings living on this earth. So, okay. Now that I've gotten that done, I'm already seeing where what I need to do is I need to put a little bit of tone here, here, and here. So what I'm gonna have to do is, give me a minute here. I know. I'm going way over time, but I want to show this before I get done. But again, um, again, I I, I enjoy. If this review of this book is going this long, it shows how much I like the book. Okay, so so we're gonna have to have something here, and then here we've got his. Let's say he's got, even though he didn't have, let's say he's got some muscles in here. So we're going to have. Oops, sorry guys. So we want to have here. So if we put this level tone here, maybe slightly darker so it matches here more, that way we get that separation between here and here. Because that's the reason why I'm not taking the dots all the way up. So here I may not, just because, just take that dark light and then take this muscle tone, darken this up here. So, but no, Shane and Yanzi are going to have the book available on their website. Uh, I strongly encourage anybody who didn't get the book to go to their site so they can get it. I would also, if you're watching this video, and you think that there's others that may want to get this book, but they're not sure, send them this video and say, hey, check out this video with this review. It doesn't give you any spoilers, or it doesn't give you many spoilers, I should say, but it gives you a good taste of what you get from the book. Okay? Which, again, overall, I was pleased. Shane and Yanzi delivered, and they delivered everything that they said they're going to deliver. The only thing they didn't, which, again, it could be argued that it wasn't necessary to go that in depth to show that what I was been going on about with, like, everybody living on the mankind's on the edge of extinction. But for me, it's just one of those words like I felt it was kind of needed, so you could get that sense. And I mean, like I said, that's one thing that's great about Shane and Yanzi doing the supplemental is you don't need to read the supplementals to follow the main book, but having the supplementals really expands the world that these characters are living in. So, guys, I'm going to keep working on. Actually, I'm not going to work on this. I'm probably going to work on this other piece that I have here, which is the uh, piece for Graham's Monster Island. So I've been working on this. So, and yes, I did go in here with these little itty bitty krill. Remember the krill from Alien Alamo? So I'm just going in with them or with a regular Rapidio, doing them small. They're not stippling them, and then I'll continue to stipple the rest of it. And then I've decided what I'm going to put in here. Originally, I had it with a woman in here, the one alien princess. Really going to have originally I was going to have her like lying down and like scared format, like, both hands up and oh my goodness. But I was like, I didn't want to do that. And then I had another one where she was like bent over, holding two guns. And I'm like, nah. I figured out what I'm going to put here. Okay, so I figured out what I'm going to put here, so I'll put that in. But until then, I'll just probably work on this one when I'm done. You know how it is. So, like, got this rock done. I got to do this rock done, and I got to do these rocks. So I'll probably work on them. Probably work on let's see. This is Gooch. God, I can't remember the name of this character. I think this character, if I remember correctly, Graham, when he did the character sheet, he has the voice of Ernest Borgnine, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I'll work on his Kate probably too. So, but guys, you have a great day. Enjoy this 3-day weekend. Remember the reason why we had it. Uh, Men and women gave their lives many times out on foreign shores, so we can have the freedoms that we enjoy, and just remember the servicemen that we're honoring are no longer with us. That's the reason why we have this holidays, because they gave the sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice. So Guys, you guys all have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow with another video. Until then, remember, life is stressful. Just take it all one dot at a time.